I thought I had been recording and I realized I had not. So I'm going to start again. My name is Mary Jane Penny, and I have been doing these videos on purpose because this last attack that started, as far as I'm concerned, only because my hairdresser noticed the hickey behind my knee September 27. It must have started probably earlier that month. Is directed to end my life because November would have been the 10th anniversary of the official threat made from Martin Ruiz de Gamboa, FBI agent, gang stalker, drug dealer, and killer. I have told the story in my reports before. I'm not going to start all over again. It's overwhelming. What I would like to say this time, and this is going to be a short one, is that if there is somebody from the FBI that takes interest in this case, that believes what I'm saying, because what do I have to win by lying? My life stopped. My life stopped. As I mentioned to you before, I tried to study one career as a nurse in the early 2000s, and two of us thought about it. And I started attending FAU in Florida Atlantic University, and I had to quit. I couldn't read, I couldn't study. Why? The headaches. The moment I arrived, the headache. But it was not a headache. It was an awful migraine headache. Sometimes, even when I was getting in the car to drive to school, it would start. I would not go. It took me a while. It took me years to realize that he has done this to me, and not only to me, to everybody. He didn't want to come back to Florida and stay in the apartment. He did the same thing as he did to a friend that lives in the building, has an apartment there for a vacation because they have a house in Chicago. Alina, every time she came to Florida, the headaches, she had to get back to Chicago, and a day, 2 days later, she had no headaches. Well, going back, if you have an interest on anything that I have said and you believe I'm not lying to you, I can give you some information that is very much domestic, but through the information you can get to records that might lead you to something of interest and very big. As I said before, there were a Spaniard and a Peruvian Indian gay couple on Cantu Arias, Cantuaris 350, letter C as in Charles, in Miraflores. Their names were Ramon for the Spaniard and Fabricio for the Indian. Their central intelligence operates on Avenida Cantu Arias, the same, Cantuaris 270. They are on the top floor. And from the top floor, you can actually see the wire that has been pulled to get connected to trees of 4G, 5G antennas. And according to my technical person, that usually means satellite communications. There is another one that is on the parallel street that has been here for a few years. He's probably one of the stable ones. He lives on Calle Calle Diez Canseco. D as in David, I-E-Z. The next word Canseco, C-A-N-S-E-C-O, 483 Miraflores, and he lives on the third unit from the top, overlooking the next street. They have people staying in other places in the same block. Smaller hotels like Casa del Viajero, Edificio El Ejecutivo, and you can see them at night. They roam through five-star hotels like if they were in their own homes. I know that they make some kind of arrangements under the name of the FBI, and I think it has to do a lot with hacking. Hacking is their main business. I showed before, I took a picture of a motorcycle. I talked to the attorney gave the information to the investigator, and you should see, well, you probably saw, the picture. It's not the picture of the person that drives, could not be the parent of the person that drives, and you know what, that motorcycle now is nowhere to be found. And all of a sudden, instead of seeing 5, 6 motorcycles, you see a lot of bicycles today. Makes you wonder, no? Yesterday for me was an unusual day, at least until 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, because I didn't feel anything. And I was thinking, what are they planning for me? But around 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, I asked the concierge to come up here. And I was already starting to feel a sore throat, but I was very much on the edge towards the wall of the bed, right? And she comes and starts coughing. And I said to myself, starting again, what do? They throw atoms. I'm sorry, in English it's atoms of electricity. They shoot them at random, wherever they fall. And they irritate very, very harshly all your passages up to your stomach. What has worked for me is probiotics, multibiotics, and Coke. Yes, Coca-Cola, regular Coke. Here in Peru, there are people that have been cured of cancer, stomach cancer, have had surgery, they have recovered, and for life, they have to drink a liter, which is 4 cups of Coke a day. And they look wonderful. I'm not a soda drinker, but I'm drinking Coca-Cola, regular Coke. I had told you before about those exhaust pipes, I used to call them escape tubes, but it's the same thing. This one here is what I see when I stand in my balcony. That's the the roof of a 1-story little coffee place, and very old, as you can see. Okay, that's one. This is the hotel I'm staying at. Can you see it here? Can you see it? Okay, that's number 2. I had the opportunity for somebody yesterday to go to the one of the cafe, and this is what she noticed. This is the connection. On the bottom, there's a plastic container. Look at the tube that comes from the connection with the water, and she claims that on top of the sink, there is another tube into the concrete that probably communicates to the last part of the exhaust pipe that they have on the roof. Are you going to tell me that is a coincidence that I find two exhaust pipes in the two places that I'm actually residing? Actually, I reside in the hotel, but I have to go to my place to check on my dogs and do some things several times a day. But do you think it's a coincidence? Where do you ever see an exhaust pipe on a roof? Please. There was something that apparently I blocked because I haven't even thought about it until yesterday. And I don't know why it came back to my mind. After my mother died and the attacks became stronger towards me because I didn't know then that they were highly concentrated on my mother who couldn't speak. Because of her advanced Alzheimer's, she was just a prey, an easy prey, and they did with her what they wanted. And I couldn't help because she didn't say a word. She didn't complain. Well, the attacks were furious. And all of a sudden, my right arm and my right leg could not stop shaking. They shook constantly. I had electroencephalograms, neurological exams, blood tests, psychiatrists. You name it, I went to. And there was no answer. And I couldn't tell the stories that I have been sharing with you because they would have thought, this woman is out of her head. One time, like 2 years later, I tried to run away from them because I had enough. And I talked to my hairdresser. I didn't have a phone on purpose. I went to a public phone and I called my hairdresser on his cell, and they heard the conversation. My hairdresser took me to a bus station, and the entire trip, the attacks continued as if I had never left. In other words, there was a stalker with me on the bus. I arrived, and 2 days later, I was back. The only good thing is that when I sat on the bus to return, the shaking of my legs stopped. I couldn't believe it. Now I had to deal only with my right arm. Fortunately, that happened like 2 weeks or so later. There is an issue that concerns me, but it concerns me because it also worries me, because it has to do with drug dealing. There is a man that moved to our building, and I sincerely think that it was Martin Ruiz de Gamboa who brought the man to the building. His name is David Mazoff, or Mazoff. It's spelled Mazzoff. It's Mazoff. David Mazoff. He resided in the unit 701. Okay? The funny thing is that, according to the records, he purchased that unit at the beginning, January 21, 2007. But he didn't move into the unit until late 2011. And the funny part, to continue, is that on 2/2/2011, it went to somebody with the last name of Sanchez, a Sanchez that also appears in a transaction of de Gamboa with his unit in the building when he left the building. Masov, the son, was involved with drugs in Thailand and exotic countries. De Gamboa's kid thing had to do with local, domestic. But de Gamboa wanted feverishly to be involved in that business. I know for a fact that he protected dealers in Broward and Palm Beach County because they threatened me in occasions. They came to me close enough to show me their weapons, usually knives. They're knives. So federal government takes the time to investigate. I, in my humble opinion, think that this Masov, as Gamboa, does money laundering with real estate properties. Because I cannot understand why would somebody buy a property in 2007, go there towards the end of 11, sell it the first month of 12, and the coincidence of the same last name, different number, different name, but the same last name, and de Gamboa has used Sanchez in other transactions in the past. When Margie, one of the ladies, discovered that he had several real properties, when he found out that she found out, he immediately changed and got some front men to take his place for those properties. And under America's Most Watched list from the federal government, Martin Ruiz de Gamboa appears now as being looked for because he has millions and millions of dollars worth of real property. So he tried to bring to our safe, happy building the scum of the earth. Remember, 202, he's chemist. He was on 301. He's Bonnie and Clyde on 402. His partner and boss on 501. Look for his name on public records. He doesn't show. He disappeared. And then 701, this man, whose son was also in prison for 2-3 times, who was in prison at the time. And Martin Ruiz de Gamboa acted like his floor mat. He went to the airport to pick him up. He went to the airport to drop him off. He threw parties on his behalf. And I also I have some tins on my stomach for the reason I explained before. On one night, I live on the 7th floor and I'm almost across from an exit. And he had total control of the elevators, the camera, everything that has to do with electricity, he had total control. And all of a sudden, and I used to get up 4 or 5 in the morning. That has been my habit almost my entire life, because I was an avid runner and I went to the gym 2 more hours a day. I noticed that all the lights went out because there was a noise. Like somebody had turned off the electricity for the building. And I hear a lot of people running on the hallways. And mumbling, like a hush talk. I couldn't understand, but things like, is everything okay? And opening and closing the exit doors. You had to open one, close, and then go down. That continued. I mean, the building without electricity, like for, I don't know, 30 minutes. The question would be, what do you have to take out that cannot be seen? Is it drug? I think the drug goes in suitcases, right? What did he have to take with him that should not be seen by anybody in the building at that time of the day? I don't know. I didn't get up. I didn't open the door. But I know other people notice the same thing too. Did the man ever come back or anything? I don't know. But you see, I am a workaholic. And I didn't know what to do on weekends. And I decided to take a course on real estate for Saturdays, Sundays. So I had the opportunity to learn a lot of things that I didn't learn of before. And over improvement, for instance. This is a building in a very nice location, very privileged location, in my opinion, is beautiful. It's a strip that is 3.2 miles long. Drawbridge here, drawbridge there. Ocean on one side, intracoastal on the other, no side streets, private beaches. It's just gorgeous. Own police, own city hall. Houses are worth millions and millions and millions of dollars because they have the ownership of the ocean side and the intracoastal side. Why did he have to bring all that scum to the building? And going back to the over improvements, several of us went to that apartment and stupid us. These are things that I have to wear sometimes on my breast, below, here, on my esophagus, depending on where I feel more threatened. And I have been able to find belts, this wide, with this kind of clasp that really holds the thing in place. I couldn't understand why there was such an over improvement in that unit. When you are on the water, you have to really spend the time to maintain your property if you want it to look nice always. I was one of those. And I would have never, ever put cherry wood all over the apartment on a unit on the water. I mean, it was absurd. Are Martin Ruiz de Gamboa and this David Masov connected in drug dealing in Thailand and those countries? I don't know. Is Martin Ruiz de Gamboa now protecting drug dealing in that part of the world? I don't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. He loves everything that has to do with crime, with violence, with murders. with suffering. He's a sadist. He's a sadist. He's killed people in the building, and then he hides in his rat hole, because that's his apartment, was a rat hole. So authorities, check on that guy. And check on the transactions that took place on that apartment. And compared to the transactions that took place on the sale, supposed sale, of Martin Ruiz de Gamboa, Unit 303, 301, in the same building, Opal Towers West. Maybe you can find a connection that leads you somewhere of interest to the country. I found out that Martin Ruiz de Gamboa is now in Pensacola, Florida. I'm going to give you some of his information. I hope among of you there is an investigator or a good FBI agent willing to help. I would request you listen to my audios or videos, because I don't know what else to do. I'm going to show you my picture when the whole thing started. This was me. This was me. This is me now. Okay? He took away my life, my youth, affected my health, my social life, etc., etc., etc. He is supposed to live in Pensacola, and the street address is 6438 Rosa Flora, Rosaflora Lane, and the zip code is supposed to be 32504. He has 3 kids. The girl who used to be a sweetheart, Andrea, she was in jail for drugs. You know, the father wanted everybody in the family to be a drug dealer. Then he has another one called Thomas, without the H, okay? He was in jail for 3 times or more for drug dealing too. I tell you, drugs, that's his obsession. And the third one is Matias, Matias. I cannot tell you anything about Matias because I haven't heard anything about his story. The only thing I can tell you is that Martin Ruiz de Gamboa right now is running because he's starting to use pseudonyms. For instance, instead of calling himself Martin Ruiz de Gamboa, he calls himself Martin Gamboa. He has apparently, and I say apparently, a middle name, Martin Ignacio de Gamboa. He is using the Ruiz, which is part of his last name, as a middle initial, Martin R. de Gamboa. His wife is Cecilia. He's also playing with the R and the D. You know, the Ruiz and the Gamboa. Any combination that you can do is going to work because the combinations that I have found are endless. Okay? In Chile, where he comes from, and by the way, he hates Peruvians. And I tried to find information on him on internet, but you know, these FBI agents are hackers, the hackers of the world. Martin Ruiz de Gamboa used to have a company called Amalfi Security. Go to the Division of Corporations for the state of Florida and see if you find the company. It's gone. I took pictures. So if you want the Gamboa to put it back in there, put it back in there. But I have the picture. You took it out of the system. That's what he does. He deletes information. He does montages. He adds information. His company is no longer there, never existed. His boss never lived in Opal Tower West 501. That guy, Ray Bird, I think was his last name, Raymond Bird. No, everything's taken out, just like the hackers here in Peru, in Miraflores. He has a motorcycle. It should be his face. No, it's a family. I mean, hacking is their business. I wonder what they promise the Hyatt, the Holiday Inn, the Marriott, 5-star hotels here. What are the promises that they make in order for those hotels to allow them to roam around in their facilities as they please? Do you think the hotels allow them to roam around in their facilities as they please for nothing? No. And I'm sure it has a lot to do with hacking. Protection for a hotel? I doubt it. It has to do with hacking. Cyber information. If you need to know, de Gamboa was FBI in California, was FBI in Texas, was FBI in another, but he was just a mediocre agent. As a psychologist, I have several careers, but as a psychologist, I'm going to tell you, he is a man without hands. He doesn't know how to communicate. The only thing he knows is how to kill, how to damage, how to hurt, and stick money in his pocket while doing it. That's all he does. He knows nothing. I know for a fact he was never able to give love to his daughter. You should have seen her. I felt sorry for her when she was little. She came to me and I accepted her with my arms opened. And as I mentioned in one of my videos, she broke her ankle and I said, I'll get you the state-of-the-art walker so that you can walk easily. And I did. And guess what? When she finished using it, instead of a little piece of paper saying thank you, I just found it dumped at my door like nothing. I'm sure it was the idea of the parent. The little girl had nothing to do with it. Let me see what I told you it was going to be a brief. I don't know when I'm going to write again. I know that most of the people that helped Ruiz de Gamboa in the building are not in the building either. So probably they feared and they left too. No, I don't have that information here. But I know he was in California, in Texas, Florida, and there are 2 states. It could have been North Dakota. There were other 2 states, but there was nothing like New York or Pennsylvania or Virginia, no, nothing like that, okay? He was just a mediocre agent. Listen, people, I could be a mediocre person and steal powerful weapons from my agency. and know how to use them and kill everywhere I go and hurt everywhere I go. Does it make me smart, intelligent? Or does it make me a killer, a murderer, a psychopath, a sociopath? Huh? He thinks he's God, but he's not. Do you remember Napoleon Bonaparte? He was a tiny little thing. Do you remember how did he end? Where? What island? How did he end? There is no God on earth, okay? There is not. There is not. And smart is the person that creates, but it's not smart the person that steals and use what she or he steals to kill, to hurt, to murder other people. That doesn't make you smart. And everything is done in the name of the FBI. So FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. It's about time you do something to control the cancer that you have in your institution, the crap that you have in your bureau, the evil that you have spending money from taxpayers all over the country. Men that kill for money or for the pleasure. I never heard Martin Ruiz de Gamboa. Never, ever. The moment he moved in, he started making my life difficult. Why? I was single. I was successful. Happy. Energetic. Athletic. Happy. You can see that picture. That was me. I love to work. I enjoy working. I led a very healthy life. I still do. Although I hate being here where I am. I don't like being here. I'm going to tell you a little anecdote. On my grandfather is from Liverpool, England. The grandmother. And my grandfather's parents were Liverpool and Australia, Prentice. And on my grandmother's side is French-Italian. And on my mother's side, I have von Heinrich. The great-grandfather was the wealthiest, one of the wealthiest men in Germany, because he had the most number of shipyards in the country, and he had only one son. My mother's grandfather. But he was a black sheep. He didn't want anything to do with his father. When his father died, and they came looking for him, and they said, listen, this is all yours. He said, no, I don't want it. Stupid, yeah, because he had 12 kids. He could have accepted the inheritance for his family if he didn't want it for himself. When I was little, I used to tell my mother, the stork has made a mistake. And my mother used to look at me and say, why do you say that? Because I don't belong here. I don't belong here. And my statement was twofold. I do not belong to the family because my mentality is not Latin American at all. I don't belong here. And my family, they had an approach that I didn't share. So, and my IQ is too high to be able to easily find friends in school. So I didn't have any friends in school. I had friends when we went to the different homes we had, the summer home, the country home. But were circumstantial friendships, just at the beach, for parties at night, little things that little kids do before they start going to the university. So I hate being here. I hate not being able to go on with the rest of my life. I would like to go back to the States. I would like to go to Europe, go back to some countries in Asia. I want my life back. Just show me one time that I have heard that man. I have not even engaged in social conversation with him ever until that November 15, 2011, when we knew he was stealing money from the building. And he asked me, "What do you think of me?" And I said to him, to his face, and that's something about me that most people liked everywhere I go, but here. Okay? Here, the hypocrisy, the mediocrity prevails. I said, "You to me are an SOB and a thief and a thug." That's when he said, "I'm going to destroy your life." And he had already started years ago. I called the police came, and then he went to the police station. I was told by some police people that knew me. I had been there for years and knew the kind of person I was. They didn't like the Gamboa at all, Ruiz de Gamboa at all. But he was trying to get that report out of the system. I know that for a while he couldn't get it out. I don't know if eventually he did, but I know that for a while he couldn't. He couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. That Martin Ruiz de Gamboa has to get out of circulation. And the same with the kids. I think those kids need rehab. All three of them need rehab if they are out. No, because I know that Thomas was in jail for the third time. It's the same as David Maslow's child was also, I shouldn't say child, son was in jail for the third time too. As I said to you, it had to do with dealing with Thailand. I don't know how the story continues, but there are some issues that I mentioned to you that are very suspicious about money laundering, things that I have mentioned to you before. The way they operate that is so inexpensive. Of course, if you have a bucket with water and just make all kinds of connections, you have an exhaust system and you know the way to produce instant electricity and just throw it out through that exhaust pipe, wherever you want to send it. If you use exhaust system of vehicles running to create bubbles, I've seen them. I have videos. And they went in to my iPhone and my Android and they cut my videos. Some people were able to see those bubbles going up and down. Other people take their time to check their messages. Please help me. I don't know what else to do. And the sad part is that if I raise my hand, they know I raise my hand. If I try to hurt somebody, they know I'm trying to hurt somebody. If I hurt somebody, they know I did, and they go at you as a punishment all day long. In other words, they try to make you helpless. Okay? I feel that Ruiz de Gamboa, if you look at his wife when she was younger, I don't know how she looks today. She looked a little, I think I was prettier than, she looked like me, the haircut, even though it was a little longer. And I think he was infatuated with me, or and he wanted to impress me somehow, because they kill their prey in months. In months! I mentioned that Croatian, the first one that I caught, said to me, no, by the end of November the job will be over. He didn't know that I was the prey. Just the kind of stupid people they hire nowadays. They have these pyramids that instead of being like this, they are like this. There's almost no tip to the pyramid. The recluse, the masses, are made of an alphabet. I would call them analphabist, illiterate, narrow-minded, uneducated, stupid people. And those are the people that carry the cyber weapons, because they allow them to download their software. But one thing I know, everybody that downloads gets registered, maybe up there via satellite. So they know exactly who uses what and when. Because there is a prize, there is a bonus, a prize if the person, if for instance they want to give somebody a heart attack and your strike, it was the last required to provoke the heart attack, that person gets a prize, a bonus or something. I don't know if it is cash, I don't know what it is, but I know they get a prize. Somebody has told me it's called a bonus. I swear to you, and I can even say to you, that if you ask a person now, where is the heart? How many lungs do we have? What is the bone that we have in the thigh? What bone do we have in the thigh? Stupid questions. They have no answer. They have no answer. The only thing they need to do, and here they are like zombies, is the most disgusting, in my opinion, disgusting thing there is. They have no money to eat. They have no money to get clothed properly. But they walk around like this, talking. They drive like this. So, they can be waiting for me outside, 5, 10, it's happened, 5, 10, 15, they go, they have a black, like this, background with white letters, and they click on the options. They give them options, for instance, to hurt me on my right eye, my leg, my vulva, my nipple, my nape, whatever, and they click on it. How many times they click is not up to them. The system allows them to do what the system wants them to do. Who devised all this stuff has to have been very intelligent, very bright, but very devious, evilish. And if you read on internet now, this is all over. This is all over the Western world. I have read that it's even worse in Europe. Do they use in Europe for money? I know that in the States, some gang stalkers do it only for money. But Martin Ruiz de Gamboa likes blood, likes to murder, likes to kill, likes the drugs, especially the overdoses through his chemist that used to be on 202, tenant of the owner who now lives on units of 8 on the same strip, Hillsborough Beach. There is an email that was created by my technician. I don't have social networks. I don't like this at all. At the beginning, I was so reluctant to sit in front of my computer. I feel a little more relaxed now. But I just, like this video, he will take care of it and put it on Facebook, on Google, whatever he needs to do. There is an email called Victims of Gang Stalking. Victims of Gang Stalking at gmail.com. Victims of Gang Stalking at gmail.com. If you had a victim and that victim died, if you recognize some of the things that I have mentioned throughout those 6, 8, 10 audio videos that I have presented, get in touch with me. It might be too late to help, but maybe we can help others. The sad part is that nowadays, with the use of electricity, so sophisticated as it is today, they kill you in 3 months. In 3 months, they feel they can have you dead. Okay? That was the statement from the Croatian on the elevator with his wife, a gypsy Venezuelan. In 3 months. I remember waking up one day in the apartment as soon as I found out about that hickey on the back of my knee, that I was being toasted inside out. That's when I started going to hotels. If you do what I do, look for small hotels where you can have more control of situations. It depends on if you have friends that you can stay with, great. If you have relatives that you can stay with, great. But if it is not the case, as in my case, small hotels. And always check around. And remember, if you're standing here and you feel the heat, they hit you here, it's because somebody is on the other side. If you feel it behind, it's because somebody's behind you. So that is going to give you the direction of the shooting, and you're going to know if it is from the room across that way or if it is a room on the other side of yours. Lock your doors and use devices with battery operated. Those are better. And so that they cannot force your door open while you're sleeping. I told you fans and elevators and fans and, excuse me, I'm a little tired last night. They didn't let me sleep. Fans and air conditioners. What they do, for instance, right now, here there's one from the hotel, but I have 2 that I brought from home on the window. But what do I accomplish? I turn them on, and electricity is also going to get from the fan into the unit. Even though I have the fans facing outside, facing outward, that electricity is going to come in. I said before, you have to watch for the noise of your refrigerator, every electrical appliance, if you hear a funny noise you never heard before, turn it off and turn it back on. If you see too many motorcycle drivers going around your block and their exhaust system is broken, watch out. If you're a woman, look at your areas, your feminine areas. But try to get out. I am where I am right now because I wanted to be close to my home, my city home. It was a beautiful mansion. And I go by there. It's only 2 blocks from where I have a rental apartment because I don't want to buy anything in this country. And they took their time, the people that bought the house. It was, I didn't want to sell, but my other 2 brothers and sister did. And I thought it was going to be a stupid legal war to go against those 3. And who bought the property took 2 years to demolish. And the walls are still out there, but inside there is nothing. But I go there and I rub my hand over the wall and I talk to my father and my brother that died there. Well, my brother didn't die there, but he lived there too. That's the reason why I chose to stay in this area. But this part of town, compared to the days that I used to live here, it's like night and day. I mean, somebody said to me things that maybe I shouldn't say on a video, but the comment was clear, meaning that if you think it's going to be the 5-star area that you used to live in, is not going to be even a 0-star. I'm going to put it nicely. And that person, an attorney, was right. And because of the level of poverty, the discrimination, the exploitation, the ignorance, the lack of education, all that stuff, to me, it's an unbearable place to live. So if, I would love to be able to back to my country, the US. I want to go back. I don't want to stay here. I don't belong. I had to come back because I had to solve issues regarding the family and inheritance, whatever you want to call it. But then this whole thing started and I realized it would be a suicide if I get on an airplane. They won't let me land. I mean, I would make my crime, my murder, easy. I would make it easy. I would make it easy. So here I am. Living a day at a time. Hoping, praying, and I don't want to lose hope. I hope there is somebody out there that has the knowledge, the will, the interest to help not only me, of course, me too, all the people that are murdered daily. If you only were able to see the amount of beams and rays and waves at night directed at different homes here in downtown Miraflores, you would say, my God, what's going on? They are killing here, left and right. I know Martin Ruiz de Gamboa wanted to take the government of Peru years ago. That was his goal, to take the government, but not to be president, to control, assume the same posture. He's always behind. Assume the control of the country and put his puppets, Peruvian Chileans, to run the country. So, I don't know if that dream of his continues on. Maybe the brother is working on that already, because I do not understand. I do not understand why are there so many beams, rays, waves at night directed here, and every time I mention that on internet, on a video, the next day they're gone. So I'm not on the wrong path. I'm sure they hate my guts. They must hate my guts. The other Croatian is also gone. This has gotten so much out of control. FBI has gotten so much out of control that now you are using people that have no anything to be stalker. It's like that game. I remember going to the university, psychology here. It was over 7 years ago. Nowadays, I don't know how it is. At the best university in South America and Latin America, the teacher calls you, the professor calls you out and tells you story. Excuse me for 1 minute. You come in and you're supposed to tell. He comes in and he sends somebody out, and I have to tell that person the story. And then, until it gets to a point where instead of being 1 minute, at about the 15th or 16th person, she's in and out in 5 seconds, 10 seconds. This is what's happened with your gang stalking, FBI. It's out of control. You don't have the quality. You have the cheapest, I don't even know how to express it. You have the cheapest help recruits in your system for anything. I think they could be better trash collectors than gang stalkers. They could be better trash collectors than gang stalkers. You have no idea how they behave, how easy to spot them they are. Get rid of it. I hope somebody has the cojones, as they say in Cuba. They have the cojones to put a stop to this and get rid of all the delinquency, the crime that goes in your organization. And I'm sure if this is happening with the FBI, I wonder what's going on with the CIA. You should have better people recruiting members of your organizations. My mother and her sister used to do that. They were very well known here in Peru, the best ones. And they recruited for the top authorities in the country. And you should have seen the way they worked. They didn't care if she was daughter or he was son or whatever, or from whoever. No. That's probably why they were caught internationally too. Stop this now. It's gonna come and bite you. You lost control, but you still have control of the cyber weapons, the systems. Unplug the systems and finish with this.